Pretty horrible, horrible. I won't give you all the details. I see some kids here. I don't want them to have nightmares, but it was bad. And I was sitting in the room like, what do we do? There was a $3 piece of plastic that could be put over the drain so these kids would get sucked into the swimming pool. And of course me, I'm data driven. I start looking and I'm like, oh my God, all these kids are drowning every year in the bottom of the swimming pool. I didn't know that. So Senator Allen pushed forward a bill in the Senate to make sure that we have these plastic things over the drain. Doesn't cost any money really. You don't have to drain the pool. I mean, it's about as easy a solution to a real problem as you could find in America today. We work for months. We get it through the U.S. Senate. I can't believe how much effort it takes to get this thing passed. It goes over to the House of Representatives, and one of our friends, big Democrat, from the state of Florida, where they have swimming pools in every backyard, kills it, kills the bill. Well, I was the president of the Press Secretaries Association for the U.S. Senate. Weirdly, it was the only group where Republicans and the Democrats still got along, at least well enough to hang out once a week. But oh, I was hot that day. I walked in and said, what in the heck is wrong with you guys? Why would you kill this bill? This helps the kids. It saves the kids. What's the problem? Doesn't even cost any money. What's wrong with you? You know what they said? Seriously. We can't let your guy have a win in an election here. Is that sick? That's sick. Ladies and gentlemen, that was 20 years ago. Imagine how toxic it is in Washington today. I'm a Virginian. I grew up in this state. This is my home. I can't let that happen at our state capitol. I can't let it become so twisted and sick and toxic and polarizing that we can't find the ability to do the right thing for the least amongst us. That's why I quit my job at the radio station. That's why, maybe foolishly, I gave up my paycheck for a whole year. Is because I see that happening right in front of my face, and I gotta step in and try to stop it. And I gotta stand up for you. And that's why I'm in this race. And I think that's why Winsome is running, is to stand up for you. I think that's why Jason is running, to stand up for you. I think that's why you got Republicans up and down this ballot who are giving up a lot of their lives to stand up for you in the House of Delegates and in 2 more years to come back and try to do that in the Senate. Now, in this last week, we need you to do one big thing. Call on your friends, the people that you normally don't talk politics to. I'm Episcopalian. We're not supposed to talk politics with everybody, okay? But I'm doing it. I'm calling them all. Like, hey, my name's on the ballot. I don't know, hey, could you come with me to Henrico County? Could you come with me? I got some friends in Norfolk. Not a lot of Republicans. I'm not sure I can get my 10 Republican friends in Norfolk, but I'm working on it. I'm going everywhere, calling everybody I know, saying we've got 7 more days. Please go out and vote, because the future of the state is on the line. The economic prosperity that we're used to is on the line. Right to work is on the line. The ability to bring new jobs and new businesses to Virginia, on the line. The culture that you live in is on the line. Will we let boys and girls sports? Will we allow grown men in my mother's locker room or bathroom? I don't think so. If I'm Lieutenant Governor, we're going to stop this stuff, because I'm standing up. I'm bold enough to stand up. There is so much that is going to be decided in about 3 months. Win this election or lose this election. And if you haven't been convinced that everything's on the line with those text messages from Jay Jones saying that he wouldn't mind killing any one of you standing here. And at first I was like, that can't be true. I'm not going to say anything because I know it's just a bad joke from 2 in the morning that's being recycled. And then I found out it wasn't a joke. And it wasn't at 2 in the morning. And it wasn't recycled. It was real. So we should all be awake. We should all be working. We should all make sure that these next 7 days count. And then we should get ready to return some decency to the Capitol in Richmond. I'm going to lead that effort. Thank you so much for having me here. So this morning, I was stuck representing the Lieutenant Governor. We drove last night to get over to the Eastern Shore so that, you know, we knew Winsome couldn't be there, and I had to stand in. I guess that's kind of what a real Lieutenant Governor is supposed to do, so I'm getting some practice here. But you're very lucky, because Winsome has escaped to the Capitol, and she's ready to join us. Please welcome the next Governor of Virginia, Winsome Earle-Sears.
Now, I understand that my tie is trending. You just never know, right? You put something on just because you think that it speaks about the future. So what it is, it's the first day on Mars. And you can't see it, but that's the yellow rover here, and it's the school bus. And I have a bigger painting of it. And when I brought the lieutenant governors to talk about drones in the future here, real drones, you know, not droning on, but drones, we visited NASA Langley, and this is one of the inspirational items that they have. And so we're looking towards the future, and that's why we're here, isn't it? Yeah. That's why we're here. This is about our future. And before I also go any further, let me get my list, because I'm famous for forgetting somebody just because there's so many people. So I see that the rest of us who have fled Richmond, A.C. Cardoza, you are here. Wonderful. And Shannon Green. Listen, folks, if they don't win, we don't win back the Senate. If they don't win, we don't win back the Senate. Winning starts with them. So we need everybody to get out and vote, every single soul. All right, Senator Diggs, you're not up, but we want to talk about you anyway. We're so glad that this is yours. This is where, yes. This is his place. What he said. And then, of course, we've got Kitty. Where's Kitty? Ah, there you are, Kitty. Yes, wonderful. And Sheila Knoll, and Kristen Nelson, and Tom Shepard. Hey. All the way in the back. And we've got some school board folks. Yes. Yes. You know, a lot of times, we've said in the past, when it came to school, and Phil Hamilton. Our former delegate. Yeah. You know, we've said, when it comes to school board races, or we used to say, you know, they're not important. Don't we know school board races are important now? I don't care if it's chief dog catcher, we're going out and voting for him. The chief dog catcher, because it's important. Every election, we always say, is important, and that's because it builds on itself. And let me tell you, if we don't win in November, which we will, but my opponent, Abigail Spanberger, will tear down everything that we've accomplished. We cannot afford her. That is not what we want. We have not come this far to only go this far. But what do I mean? What am I talking about? Who asked that question? Oh, I asked that question. This is serious times. What I'm talking about is, how many of you just received tax refunds in the mail? Yeah. Exactly. governor with a $3 billion surplus. With 2 years of this current Democratic governor, they are more than $3 billion in the hole. Wow. Yes, and what did they decide to do to plug that hole? Increase their taxes 2 times. 2 times. That's what's going to happen with Abigail, because she is going to grow government, and to do that, you're going to need more taxes. I am going to grow business. That's what I'm going to do. You know, it's not hard. You want less of a thing, you tax it. You want more of a thing, you tax it less. That's why, because if you have more of your own hard-earned money in your pocket, then you get to spend it the way that you want. Really? Is that how it works? Yes. Yes. Here's the other thing. My opponent is saying that she's going to keep us safe. Except that that's not actually true, because she voted against the police, our law enforcement, our Department of Corrections personnel, when she voted to defund them and get rid of their qualified immunity. That makes no sense, because let me tell you, if they don't have qualified immunity, what it means is the minute that they get out of their car on a call and something happens, they personally will be sued. They will lose their house, lose every asset. Would you take that job if it were you? No. And that's why they've told me, if you don't win, which we will, but they say they're not staying. They're not staying, and of course that makes sense. And that's why I have more than 80 sheriffs. Never happened in the history, never, historical, 80 sheriffs who are Republicans and Democrats and independents, and they're supporting me. They've endorsed me. They want me to win. You know, when the governor and I were together, and he was talking about this, and he was talking about some good things, and he said, and you know, Winsome as sheriffs, and I stepped in to say, oh, and he said, I got this, Winsome. Because he knows I was going to say, he had only 50. I 81. That goes to show you how we have brought morale back, and it started with our governor. We brought that morale back, and now we're building back our law enforcement, because we are not going to be soft on crime. If you do the crime, you're going to do the time. Yeah! And I ran a men's prison ministry for 2 years, one of the best things I've done with my life, because I don't think you throw people away. You want people to leave incarceration better than they've come in. And that's why when I've been to so many of the prisons that I've visited, I wanted them to know, I'm your lieutenant governor, and you can't come to me, but I'm coming to you because I want to see what's going on. I want to know what things are affecting you. And one place I went to was Red Onion, and you know, it's not that great. But they have education programs there. And I walked into one of the classes, and 3 men were there. They were getting their GED. They were getting their GED. This is what we need to do. Now, my opponent, Abigail Spanberger, believes, well, the opposite. Because she believes in no cash bail. Why would we do that? No, we're going to put you in jail. You have been accused of these really awful things. We don't need to be soft on crime. In fact, when she was in Congress, she voted to lessen the penalties on really bad crimes. I'm talking about carjackings and kidnappings and things like that. The bill was so bad that she voted for that even Biden vetoed it. It was that bad. Biden vetoed it. And it was not his auto pen. about safety and jobs if you're not safe, if the inventory isn't safe. So here's my opponent. Folks, she voted to keep the borders open. And so you saw fentanyl coming across the border. Yes, killing 5 Virginians every week. Fentanyl, child sex trafficking, kidnappings, everything. I've been to the border that Texas has with Mexico. And that border is as long as from Atlanta, Georgia to Portland, Oregon. That's how long it is. And the people of Texas, they had to take it upon themselves, $15 billion of their own tax money that they never get back, that Biden and company and Spanberger did not give them to support us and to keep us safe. And so we have found in Virginia the number 3 MS-13 leader right here in Virginia on his way home. We have found over 4,000 criminals who are illegally here and they're in some form of deportation status. You gotta go home. You gotta go home. Now my opponent, Abigail Spanberger, she voted to keep them all here because she voted against the Lake and Riley Act, which simply said this: if you're a criminal and we're talking about murderers and rapists and pedophiles, you got to go home. She voted no. She voted no. It makes no sense. And that's why I say I am for common sense and Abigail is for nonsense. Folks, you see this wonderful economy that we have? Well, Abigail's problem is she was never here when we were creating it. She was nowhere to be found. Wait, she was one of 435 in Congress. And so she could hide. Well, she is trying to hide from her record now, but Abigail, you can run, but you can't hide because we have the receipts, as the kids say. And what are those receipts? Let me tell you what they are. Abigail voted against parents because she voted against the Parents' Rights Act. These people never learn. They never learn. Parents still matter. Parents still matter. She voted against parents when she voted against the Parents' Rights Act, which simply said this: if you are changing the curriculum, then I, as the parent, need to be notified. Abigail, why did you do that? Silence. She also voted that if your child is transitioning, you should be informed. Abigail, why did you do that? She voted against that. Abigail voted against you, knowing that if by the 3rd grade your child is not on grade level in math and reading, etc., you should be told. Abigail voted against you being told. Abigail, why did you do that? She voted against you, knowing if violence is happening in the schools, as parents, you should be notified. Abigail, why did you do that? You see what I mean? Yeah. None of this makes any sense, so why would we want you as governor? You're voting against us every single time. You voted against us as parents, you voted against keeping us safe, and you're voting to take money out of our pockets. Why would I want to have you as governor? Exactly. You're going to vote for common sense. You're going to vote for John Reed as lieutenant governor. You're going to vote for our 2 delegates. And you're going to vote for our Attorney General, Jason Yares. And I humbly ask for your vote so that we will continue the good times that we have. I want to finish up with good things that are happening. We've got all these businesses that are coming to Virginia. And yes, we are trying to make sure that our economy isn't so dependent on the federal government. And so one way to do that is to keep bringing businesses here. The more jobs that are not federal government jobs, the more jobs that we will have that will be longer lasting. And so you've seen AstraZeneca, $4.5 billion they're bringing to Virginia. Merck, $3.5 billion they're bringing to Virginia. Eli Lilly, $5 billion that they're bringing to Virginia. I'm talking about thousands of jobs that I just mentioned. Folks, imagine you have a lottery ticket and you've got a $5 billion lottery ticket and you say either you're going to get it or you're going to get it. That's what happened, for example, with Eli Lilly. There were 46 states trying to land Eli Lilly. They gave 400 applications to Eli Lilly, and Eli Lilly said, Virginia, you get the $5 billion. You get the $5 billion. Folks, this is not hard. We've still got a lot of regulations we got to get rid of. Because when you look at the cost of living, I hear my opponent says it's too high. But how would she know? Again, she was never part of anything that we created here. In fact, she is going to raise the cost of living. I just told you about Maryland. That's who they want to turn Virginia into. But they've raised taxes, as I've told you. And they are under this Green New Deal, which makes no sense because the sun isn't shining. The sun isn't shining. And then what? What do we do? She only wants solar and wind. Folks, we need an all of the above. Yes, solar and wind, clean coal, oil, renewables, yes, nuclear, natural gas. We need all of that. But with her, your energy costs are going to go up. In fact, some of your bills have already started going up, and next year you're really going to see the increase because of something called the Virginia Clean Economy Act, which every single Democrat voted for, and it was to turn us into a clean economy state like Maryland. Maryland, where August of this past year, they were told to prepare for brownouts, rolling brownouts. What? Yes, because they don't have the energy that they need. Look, you see that switch on the wall? When I turn it on, something needs to happen. That's what they don't have in Maryland. We are not going to be Maryland. No, we are Virginia. We're not stupid. So your energy bills are going to be going up because every single Democrat voted for that Virginia Clean issue. And let me tell you something. When you see your bills, I want you to blame every Democrat. When I am governor, it is going to be repealed. We are going to repeal that. They're going to tell you it's the data centers, and it's the this, and it's the that that's going to drive up your bill. No. When they voted for that Clean New Deal, it took immediately 11,000 megawatts of power off the grid and said, we need to go to renewables. We had no substitute. No substitute. And what do we do with 11,000 megawatts of power gone? Exactly. These people, these Democrats had no plan, and here we are going to be suffering under them. But things are going to change in November because you are going to vote for us and you're going to have common sense. And finally, because, you know, these folks have kept us in Richmond. And let me tell you why this is a travesty of justice. Your money, your tax money, is being used to pay me and these other elected officials to go and do a job in Richmond that is not going to be helpful to you at all. In 2019, when the constitutional amendment was presented to you, you said you didn't want gerrymandering to happen anymore in Virginia. Do you know gerrymandering actually started in Virginia? Yes, although it's named for someone in what? Massachusetts. Well, that was 20 years after we did it. After. And so it's right that you said, we, the politicians, are not going to pick you as voters anymore, because, you know, we just draw lines and say, well, we want over here, and then we want over here, and then somebody else wants down there. No, you said, we, the people, will pick it. And so we had a bipartisan commission that you said you wanted, and it's in the Constitution now. And here come the Democrats, and they say, we need to redistrict. So we're going to tell you that this is what you're going to do all over again. We're going to go back to the old ways. But here's the problem. It is not going to be properly before you because it's got to be posted 3 months on some door of a courthouse. That's not going to happen. And it's supposed to be before the election. Well, the election's already started. So they're using this as a trap. But the real thing is, they are taking me off the campaign trail. They're taking AC and Chad Green off the campaign trail and everybody else because they know what the real polls are showing, and the real polls are showing that we are winning. Yeah! To Virginia. So you know, I keep hearing about how far up she's in the polls. Really? Because she's not acting like it. She took $150,000 from the Democrat redistricting committee when she said she was never going to do that. I also said I was never going to do that, but I am the only one who has kept my word. She has been paid. Sold us out for $150,000 just so she can win an election. Let me tell you something. When I was running for lieutenant governor, my then Democratic opponent said she would never take money from Dominion Energy. And then suddenly we saw that she took $100,000 from them because she said, wait for it, she needed the money. Well, politicians are always going to need the money, so we can't trust her at $100,000. We can't trust Abigail at $150,000 either. If she will do this, then we can check. What will she do behind closed doors? Folks, we've seen enough of this. We're done with that kind of politics. I left politics 20-some years ago, and here I am back again. I don't have time to be mealy-mouthed. Just tell me what you're going to tell me, and then I will make a decision. But we don't sell our souls, no. And so I humbly, again, ask you to vote for us. Vote for us, because we want to make sure that unlike my opponent, Abigail Spanberger, who has voted, she didn't just support, she has voted for your girl children to undress in front of locker rooms with boys and men, and in bathrooms, and in girls' sports, where there's no privacy, no decency in that. And you heard me ask her on the debate stage, why would you do that? What if your little girl came crying? What would you say to her that she was forced to undress because of laws that you wanted, that you voted for? And she said nothing but smirked. But smirked. Well, we don't need politicians who smirk. We need politicians who are accountable, who are transformative, who are accountable. November is coming, and it depends on you. I beg of you, grab 10 people and get them to the polls. Get a yard sign. Still not too late, although I hear they've been taking mine up. Can't keep up with them, but it's okay. We're going to win. We are going to win. And if we win, you win. You win. You win. Thank you so much for coming out. God bless you. And God bless our great Virginia.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. There are signs all around. There are Winsome signs, there are green signs, there are John Reed signs, and I don't know, there might be some AC Cordosa signs. Please feel free to take those with you when you leave. Put them up, put them in your yard, put them in your neighbor's yard. Put them everywhere.
Hey everybody, we are going to be doing some photos, but could you please do a neat and orderly line in order to make this happen? We cannot have everybody rush at the same time. So could you please form a neat, orderly line up against the wall that way? Thank you so much. And we really do appreciate your support. Thank you.
If everyone can exit through the side doors, if you're trying to get a picture with the Lieutenant Governor, our next Governor, Winsome Earle-Sears, she's up front. But if you need to go out the side. Our next Governor is right up front, so if you want to come by, say hey, take a picture, orderly line.